Welcome to Conspiracist.
Great to be here.
Today we're diving into a really specific idea, the hypothesis that governments have, deliberately hidden codes, actual evidence of them, within currency designs.
Right, that they've intentionally concealed things in plain sight on banknotes.
Exactly. And for this deep dive, we've looked at quite a range of materials, things like online forums where people really scrutinize the imagery.
Yeah, those discussions can get quite detailed.
Historical analyses of symbols, and also, importantly, technical reports about banknote security features.
The nuts and bolts.
Our mission here really is to objectively evaluate the evidence, look at the reasoning behind these claims of hidden codes. We want to focus just on what the sources present.
Setting aside assumptions, basically. Let's start with symbolism, perhaps. That seems central.
Good idea, because there's this persistent human fascination with symbols. We saw that in the sources.
Absolutely. Like that online discussion you mentioned about the US dollar bill.
Oh, yeah.
People were analyzing tiny details, looking for meaning everywhere.
Yeah, even finding things playfully dismissed. But still, the scrutiny is intense.
And that tendency, that looking for deeper meaning, it's important when we talk about hidden codes. It might be pattern recognition kicking in.
You mean seeing patterns even if they aren't intentionally put there?
Precisely. Our brains are wired to find meaning, which could lead us to interpret, say, a normal design choice as some kind of secret message.
That makes sense. And historically, this focus on symbols, especially secret ones, has been strong.
It has. The source we looked at on Freemason symbols pointed this out. Because these societies were secretive, people suspected hidden messages were everywhere, even in public symbols.
So there's a historical context of suspicion around symbols anyway.
Exactly. Which feeds into how people might look at currency today.
Okay, and then there was that YouTube transcript about decoding secrets on the dollar bill. That offered a historical angle too, right?
Yes, it mentioned emblem books from the past.
Yeah.
These were like visual guides using symbols to teach morals. The symbols weren't secret. They were widely understood then. Like a code, but a known one.
So the idea is that symbols on currency back then might not have been hidden messages, but just part of a common visual language.
That's the suggestion. People at the time might have recognized them easily from these emblem books and similar sources.
Interesting. That same transcript also mentioned Henry Wallace linking Novus Ordo Seclorum, that motto on the dollar, to Roosevelt's New Deal.
Right, which suggests that even people in government saw currency symbolism relating to current events and policies, not purely some ancient conspiracy.
It gives another left barrel beyond just hidden society stuff.
And we also saw sources like the dollar bill trivia one saying that while, yes, interpretation can be subjective, there are official explanations for symbols from places like the Treasury Department.
So there's an intended meaning, at least officially recorded, even if people interpret it differently?
It suggests intention, yes, but based on established meanings rather than, secret codes only a few know.
Okay, take the bald eagle on U.S. money. The source said we might not know the exact intended meaning behind every feather, maybe? But the general historical understanding is clear. It stands for America, victory, independence, that kind of thing.
So the main symbolism is fairly public, tied to national identity, even if details are debated.
Which brings us to that image, the reverse of the Great Seal on the $1 bill. The pyramid, the eye.
The all-seeing eye, yeah. And the mottos Annuit Corpus and Novus Ordo Seclorum.
Those are powerful symbols. And one source mentioned how this imagery, especially a floating eye pyramid, is still a big source of curiosity and speculation about hidden meanings.
Definitely. They capture the imagination, which fuels the discussion about hidden messages.
Okay, so symbolism is clearly a big part of currency, and it's definitely open to interpretation. Let's shift a bit. Have governments intentionally used currency design for communication? That seems like a step towards the hidden codes idea.
Well, there's evidence they have, at least for certain kinds of communication.
Yeah.
That Stax Bowers article, it talked about banknotes being used as diplomatic tools.
How so?
By including subtle political messages in the design throughout history. It wasn't always hidden, maybe, but definitely intentional communication.
And there was that example about the statue in Italy being turned to send a message to the Vatican.
Exactly. It shows how symbols, and even just their placement, can be used strategically to communicate something specific.
So visual elements have been used deliberately by states. Maybe more for overt political messages than secret codes, though?
That seems to be the trend, especially more recently. There's that article on European currency.
From USC Dornsife.
That's the one. It argued that European currency design has evolved to reflect broader societal values, like pan-European identity. It suggested a model of the state seeking legitimacy by reflecting values rather than trying to secretly indoctrinate people.
Interesting. So less state as teacher pushing hidden ideas and more state as mirror reflecting shared values to build trust.
That's the implication. It fits with what we see elsewhere, too.
Yeah.
The Euronet article gave examples like portraits on British money national symbols, right?
Yeah, historical figures.
Or animals on Japanese yen, which serve both artistic and security functions.
Oh.
And the Swiss franc moving towards symbolic images, like a hand.
It sounds like currency design often serves multiple purposes: national identity, art, and crucially, security, which you just mentioned with the yen.
Exactly. And that brings us neatly to the security features themselves. Could these complex, often tiny elements be mistaken for hidden codes? Or even used as them?
Let's unpack that. The IJFMR report we looked at went into detail on security features.
It did. Things like watermarks, those metallic threads woven in, bleed lines, unique serial numbers on every single note.
And very detailed portraits, complex backdrops.
And microtext. Tiny, tiny print like United States of America that you basically need magnification to see on the US dollar.
Right, the report mentioned that. And
Yeah.
if you don't know it's a security feature, you might think, what's this tiny hidden writing?
Precisely. Because it's incredibly hard for counterfeiters to copy that level of detail accurately. It requires specialized printing tech.
The report also talked about fluorescence, didn't it? How parts of the dollar bill glow under special light.
Yes, under UV light. Things like small circles, stars, the Great Seal itself become visible or change appearance. Even under a spotlight, certain symbols might pop out more.
And the report had those figures showing the dollar under different lights: white, spot, UV, IR.
Implying there are features you just don't see under normal conditions.
Yeah.
Designed for security checks.
It's not just U.S. currency either. The report showed microprinting on the Indian 500 rupee note, too.
Figures 36 and 7, I think, highlighting that minute detail for security is common globally.
And the Thai baht example listed a whole suite of features.
Yeah, the 100 baht note. Portrait, watermark, metallic thread, bleed lines, special signatures, iridescent ink, complex patterns called guilloche. Those intricate repeating geometric patterns. Very hard to replicate accurately. Plus microprinting, see-through elements, unique serial numbers, metallic, glitter ink. A lot going on.
All designed to stop fakes. But you can see how someone might look at all that complexity, especially the hidden until you look closely stuff, and wonder if there's more to it.
Absolutely. And add to that, changes over time. Remember the Fraud Fighter article?
About older U.S. banknotes?
Yeah, it mentioned things changing across series, like adding Washington, D.C., or In God We Trust later on, or removing will pay to the bearer on demand.
Okay, but those changes are documented, right? They reflect policy shifts or changing national sentiments.
They are documented, but it's conceivable someone looking for hidden messages could interpret those documented changes as some kind of subtle, intentional signaling beyond the official reasons.
I see. It's about interpretation again.
And that same article made a key point about security. Even things like counterfeit detector pens aren't foolproof. Counterfeiters adapt, using bleached real money paper or spraying fake notes.
So the security features have to keep getting more complex just to stay ahead?
Exactly. Which reinforces the idea that the primary driver for these intricate, sometimes hidden features is the fight against counterfeiting, not secret communication.
Okay, so we have sophisticated security measures designed for that purpose, which could look like hidden codes to someone unfamiliar with them.
It suggests that what appears hidden might just be advanced security, not readily obvious without knowing what to look for or having the right tools, like a UV light.
Right. So we've looked at symbolism, deliberate communication attempts, and these complex security features. How does this all connect to the actual conspiracy theories about hidden codes and currency? Why does this idea persist?
Well, one source, that ebook excerpt about a global currency reset.
Ah, yes, described as a mix of conspiracy theories.
Exactly. It ties into broader anxieties about economic crashes, currency revaluations, shadowy groups manipulating finance, shifting to gold. That whole cluster of ideas.
And within that kind of narrative where you already believe secret forces are at work.
The idea that they'd embed codes in something as fundamental as currency fits right in. It becomes a tangible piece of evidence for the larger perceived conspiracy.
We even saw a literal example of this connection in that online discussion. Someone had actually scribbled conspiracy theories on a $5 bill.
Yeah, FEMA cancer evil, I think it was. It shows how currency itself becomes a medium, a physical object linked to these beliefs.
And then there was the Dollars and Cents article about an international banking conspiracy and the Federal Reserve.
Right. It acknowledged that, yes, bankers meet privately and people have legitimate concerns about the Fed's power and monetary policy. But it refuted the core conspiracy idea that a tiny cabal runs the world through the Fed or deliberately debases currency just for government spending. It differentiated between real concerns and grand conspiracy narratives.
So putting it all together, we've seen currency definitely uses symbolism for national identity, history, art. That's clear.
Undeniably. And we've detailed these complex security features designed to stop fakes, which might seem hidden to a casual glance.
But when we look specifically for evidence in these sources supporting the hypothesis of intentionally concealed hidden codes,
it's just not strongly supported. The evidence points more towards those conventional explanations, reflecting identity, art, security, maybe some overt political messaging historically.
it seems the intricacies are better explained by those functions than by a deliberate effort to hide secret messages for hidden groups.
Agreed. Though the human tendency to seek deeper meaning, to find patterns, combined with the general prevalence of conspiracy theories around money and power, those factors keep the speculation alive. But based on the materials we reviewed, the conclusion leans towards more mundane, though complex, reasons for currency design.
Which leaves us with a final thought, perhaps, for you listening. Consider how all these elements we've discussed, the symbols, the art, the security technologies, how do they balance? How does currency reflect national identity, serve its economic purpose, and fight counterfeiting all at the same time?
And maybe what might future currencies, perhaps digital ones, reveal about our evolving values and concerns? What will symbolism and security look like then?
Something to ponder. Thanks for listening to Conspiracist.